Okay, so we talk about the properties of sound, and the last property of sound is called the quality of sound. So the quality of sound is a property of sound that depends on the shape of the wave. So as you can see, there are three instruments: tuning fork, violin, and the piano. So three of them producing a sound of same pitch and same loudness, but as you can see, the wave shape is different. So therefore, we get a different sensation to the ear. Then we can identify the instruments without looking at them. The difference of the wave shape can be identified by the brain, right? That's why we can memorize the voices of different friends. Okay. Okay. Then I'm trying to fix the problem, right? So I don't know that I'll be able to. We'll somehow manage to do it. When a piano and a violin are played, even if both of them play a note with the same pitch and same loudness, it is still possible to identify the sound of each instrument. Such identification is possible due to a characteristic known as the quality of sound. When the same note is played with same pitch using a tuning fork, violin, and piano, and view the wave shape, the three have different shapes. This proves that quality of sound depends on the shape of the wave. So that's the proof of the quality of sound is depending on the shape of the wave. So notice there, you don't have to write anything. I have given it as printed one. So I hope you have somehow managed to print it or write it on your text. So then we come to the hearing range. So as we know, we can't listen to, we can't hear every sound, right? There is only a range of frequencies our ear is responding. So that is called the hearing range. So with different animals, they have different hearing ranges, not like us. We cannot hear every sound in the environment. Sound that we cannot hear is heard by some animals. Low frequencies heard by elephant, high frequencies heard by whale, bat, and the dog. The frequency range that the human ear is capable of listening is 20 hertz to 20,000 hertz. This range you have heard earlier in your small grades, I think, grade 8 or 9. This was introduced to you. And range එක කලින් දන්න 20 hertz to 20,000 hertz. Okay. Sound of frequency less than 20 hertz. So any sound which is less than the 20 hertz is referred as infrasounds. Lesser frequencies are called infrasounds, and sounds of frequency more than 20,000 hertz are called ultrasounds. More than 20,000 hertz, ultrasound. So again, they have given the name according to the human reception. So light also the same. Waves, electromagnetic waves, again sound also the same. So because we are the dominant species, as I said, we are giving names according to our capabilities. Animals that can hear ultrasound: bat, whale, dolphin, rabbit, and the dog. Animals that can hear infrasounds: elephant, rhino, hippo, octopus, and pigeon. So those are some of the examples, right? Yeah, now this 20 hertz and 20,000 hertz is taken by examining large number of people, maybe a few 100,000 or few million people interviewed and allowed to listen to the sound. So most of us do not have the capability of listening to 20 hertz or 20,000 hertz. Same thing goes with me. When the frequency range is increasing somewhere around 18,000, 19,000, most of the time we can't hear. These are specifically for maximum, these are the maximum values, right? And the minimum values. Now there are small applications you can download it to your mobile phone and install as the frequency generators, mosquito repellers or frequency generators. In that frequency generator, you can generate a frequency and it will be given out to the speaker, right? So you can try increasing the frequency by using that, and you will come to know that when you are reaching 20,000, you can't hear the sound because most of us, our ears are not that good. And again, same thing goes with the 20,000. I tried that, and I am capable of listening to sounds when it comes to somewhere around 200 hertz. Below that, I can't. So when it comes to 18,000, 19,000, again, I can't hear because that is the nature. Everybody is not the same. There are some specific differences in people, right? Okay, don't worry. That's a normal thing because you can spend your normal life even though you can't hear those ranges in the corner. Right? Bats make use of ultrasound waves to fly, avoiding obstacles at night. Bats emit ultrasound waves while flying. These waves are reflected back if they encounter an obstacle. When the bat receives the reflected wave, it can judge the position of the obstacle and fly avoiding them. So this is the way now. If you cover the eyes of a bat, still it can fly. Um, but if you cover its ears or mouth, then it finds it difficult to fly. The reason, while flying, it emits an ultrasound to the environment. We can't hear it, right? It will hit the obstacle and come back to the bat, and it will listen to the sound and identify where are the places with obstacles and where are the places, what are the places without obstacles. So then they can find the path easily. But you may say, at night there are, you can hear the fights of bats. But that is not the ultrasound that they produce. බැට්ගේ අල්ට්‍රසවුන්ඩ් ඇහෙනවනේ අපේ ගෙවල් ගාව නම් ඉන්න උන්ති කියලා කියන්න එපා because that is a normal sound it produces, but when it is trying to find the path, it emits an ultrasound which you can't hear. ඒක ඔයාලට ඇහෙන්නේ නැහැ. හොඳයි. So sometimes when bats enter into the house through the windows, and again it will hit on the walls as soon as it comes because it is getting confused because all the time all the waves are getting reflected by the walls. So it is somewhat peculiar to them. But after a few seconds, it will manage to adapt to the situation and somehow they manage to find a free place and it will go out. So that happens. But after some time, it finds the correct path. Dolphins use ultrasound waves to find small fish for prey and to avoid sharks that attack the dolphins. They use them to communicate also. So that's about the dolphins. They also use the help of them. Uses of ultrasound. So now there are many uses of ultrasound we'll go through with your textbook. Right. One such use is to identify the depth of ocean, or else, in other words, examining the seabed. Now, you know that Titanic shipwreck. So it was under the ocean for many years. So somehow this technique reveals the location of it. So they could pinpoint the locations where the pieces of Titanic ship is there, and then only they went and observe it using robots. Then somehow they managed to get many information of it, right? So this technique is called sonar, right? Sound navigation and ranging. So in this method, there's a device which can produce ultrasound and direct it to the seabed. So the ultrasound goes and get reflected from the bottom, right? Get reflected from the bottom. Then there is a receiver. The receiver captures the wave, and depending on the time taken for it to reach from the point of emission, device එකෙන් ගිහිල්ලා ආපහු එන්න යන time එකත් එක්ක they can calculate the depth of the ocean. They can calculate the depth of the ocean, and most of the time the screen, the computer screen will show you a certain image of the object also, right? Image of the object also, the device will show you. Then they can get some decisions regarding the situation, right? Okay, give me a minute. I'll check this. Okay, we can write like this. So radar is again similar technique, but most of the time radar is used above the ground. Right? So it is something terrestrial. It is very long range, right? Ultrasound, not that much of a distance, short range, and it is used in the medical purposes also, right? And there's somewhat differences, but both of them sort of same technique. Radar, sometimes, most of the time, using in military purposes, most of the time. By using a radar, they can identify a ship, whether ship is coming or maybe in submarines, something like that. I think whether there are some other uses of ultrasound. So first one, I will write on the board. So you can under the point, write it under the point one. The technique sonar is used to examine the seabed, find the depth of the ocean. So we'll write another sentence. It's this. You can copy it down. Okay, let's hope it work. And ultrasound is sent towards the seabed, and the detector receives it when reflected. Then the depth can be calculated. Then the depth can be calculated. So that's how the sonar works. We can write it under the point 1. Okay. So then we'll come to the it again. So again, after that, another use is finding schools of fish, finding the red ships. එකන ගිලිච්ච නැව් ඒව බලන්න පාවිච්චි කරන්න පුළුවන්. So number 2, I will erase this. Because it is better to put the net in a place where the fish is rather than just throwing the net random. So when you do that, you will get more amount of fish with less effort. That's why they will try to detect the place where the ship is. Sorry, the fish is first. Third one. Find pieces of ships which are at the bottom of the sea. So these are some of the uses. You can write them by putting numbers. Okay. Now I think in the tube there's a calculation, right? That is all. It took 8 seconds for an ultrasound wave to reach a ship after being reflected from the bottom of the sea. If the wave speed is in water is 1440 meters per second, calculate the depth of the sea. So we'll draw a small diagram. So it will appear like this. So ship, seabed, the wave will be reflected like this. Now, when it is reflected, so 8 seconds means from the wave to go to the bottom and come back to the ship, 2 journeys. Gaman dekak තමයි 8 seconds කියන්නේ. But actually we don't want the length of the path. We just want to find the depth. So we know the speed of the sound in ultrasound in water as according to the data 1440 meters per second. So within 1 second it can travel 1440. So the whole journey took 8 seconds. So then if you want to find the total distance traveled, that will be 1440 multiplied by 8. This will give you the total distance traveled. But we want the depth. So therefore, we divide it by 2. We divide it by 2. So this will give you the answer. 4. So you have to multiply 1440 by 4. 0. I think it is 5,760 meters. That is the depth. Okay. So that's the way we find the depth. But actually, the sonar machine, it will directly give you the value. You don't have to do calculations. It is a computer, so everything will be given as a numerical value. You don't have to do your calculations looking at the data. But they will measure the speed of sound in water at that point, and they will measure the time taken to get reflected, and they will straight away give you the value. And there are some advanced versions of them where they can do 3D mapping. So by using satellites and other high-tech methods, they can, if you think of an ocean, right, with the help of mapping of the ships and satellite images, they could remove the water in a computer, in a supercomputer or something like that, very powerful computer. They could remove the water and observe what will happen. That is not actually happening. Logically, they can do that. Then they could identify the differences in the seabed. Geographical features තියෙන කඳු වැටි ඔක්කොම උදේරක් තියෙනවා. ඒ ඔක්කොම විදිහට බලන්න පුළුවන්. So they have done that. That is a very advanced version of this sonar method. Okay. Then we go back. You could write this if you want. That space. There's some room in the tube given for the calculation. So you can do that. Do your calculation there. For the second term, you have to complete 5 lessons. Up to 5th lesson we have to do. Okay. Then there are some other uses of ultrasound. Now these are some of them. The first one is examining a pregnant mother. So taking X-ray is not good when a woman is pregnant because the radioactive nature or the radiation of the X-rays can harm the fetus. So therefore, it is not done. So in order to observe the condition of fetus, they use the ultrasound, which is almost harmless. There's a handheld device which emits the ultrasound waves, and there's a receiver. And by keeping it on top of the body, the internal organs can be observed, not only for the pregnant mothers. So when some people having kidney stones, again, that can reveal. So for the number 2, you can write not, I can remember the number. One, there, yeah, this is, I think, four. I think this is four. To examine the fetus of a pregnant mother. Fifth one, to examine the internal organs of a patient. To examine the internal organs of a patient. And the other one, again, it is used to blast bladder stones. So there are different levels of bladder stones. They are maybe very small ones with a diameter of 2 millimeters, and maybe 1 millimeter. Likewise, there are different sizes. So when they are at a small size, before growing into the size of a tennis ball, they can be crushed, applying ultrasound waves, and removed from the bladder. To crush bladder stones from blast, not like a bomb, right? So this technology is called lithotripsy. Lithotripsy technology. To blast bladder stones. Then again, it can be used to weld metals. To weld metals. Lower passive again. Ultrasound waves are not harming your internal body, it's just a sound wave. So therefore, it is used. Others are harming, especially X-rays can cause cancer or brain anomalies in the fetus if it is used during pregnancy period. That's why it is not used. To weld metal. So you can write these things. Some more, I think, was there. You see. So in the screen, you can see the way that a fetus is observed in a computer screen. The doctor will show it to the mother. If it is a private scanning process, they will give images also. So whether the fetus has grown to the correct size during the time interval, during that period, uh, whether there are any abnormal conditions in the fetus, it all can be found by the doctor. And they will show you if it is private scanning. Father also can go there, and doctor will explain the condition. So it is difficult for us to identify everything clearly because we do not regularly observe this kind of vision. So, so the doctor is very familiar because everyday basis he does that. So he can say this and that, this and that, everything is okay here. So for us, it is difficult to identify at once. Okay. And again, there's another use of identifying cracks in aeroplanes. So the planes has to be regularly checked for any kind of cracks in the fuselage, like the place where the passengers are seated. That cross the body has to be perfectly well. Otherwise, the cracks will develop when it is up in the atmosphere, and there are some cases that it was blast open. Right? ඇතුළ පුපුරනවට මිනිස්සු වඩලා එන කෑල්ලේ plane is a machine where it maintains high pressure inside when it flies. උඩ ප්‍රෙෂර් එක අඩුයිනේ. කිලෝමීටර් 10ක් විතර උඩින් යනකොට ප්‍රෙෂර් එක අඩුයි ඇට්මොස්ෆියර් එක. ඒතර ඇතුළේ ප්‍රෙෂර් එක වැඩි නිසා මේක expand වෙන try කරනවා. So if there are any cracks, it will blast open.